Welcome, everybody, to another week here of the Cold Hard Truth on Sports here on the Go Long Media channel on blogtalkradio.com. Thank you all for listening into the show. Thank you from myself and my co-host, Kevin Krest. Great show lined up for everybody today. We're a couple minutes late starting, had a little bit of technical issues. Thanks for all of you I see over there on YouTube Live watching in. You can also download the Spreaker app free and listen to the show live each and every week, as well as over on blogtalkradio.com. Abundance of places to listen to it. How are you doing tonight, Kevin? I'm doing great. We got Eric Edelstein on tonight, president of the Reno Aces, minor league baseball team, as well as the United Soccer League 1868 football club. Those are two franchises. President of two franchises. I mean, we see people, CEOs of a couple different organizations, but you don't see too often where you have a president of two separate franchises. That's awesome and unique. Well, I look forward to it. We got a lot in line as well. The Raiders, later in the show, we'll get into the Raiders are having a little bit of issue with their stadium deal. They're 6.5 hours away from Reno. Their casino mogul has decided to pull out, along with Goldman Sachs. So it's about a third, it's $650 million in funding, which we'll get into that a little bit later on the show. The San Francisco 49ers hired John Lynch. Yes, the guy that has made the final list for the NFL Hall of Fame and Fox broadcaster is the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll definitely get into that later on in the show as well. Now we'll go ahead and bring on our featured guest of this evening. Like I said, he is the president of the Reno Aces Baseball Club. It's a minor league baseball team affiliated with the Royals, as well as the Diamondbacks, and again, the United Soccer League Reno 1868 Football Club, Mr. Eric Edelstein. How are you doing this evening, Eric? Wonderful.
I came up from the Royals won the World Series last year, and I went back again and looked at all of the guys that are on the roster of the Royals that played at Armin Ballpark. I lost track.
No, it was a really fun time. I mean, wasn't such fun times in the big leagues for the Royals during those years. I was with them, during some pretty uncompetitive seasons at the big league level, but we got sort of that first taste of all those players coming up, and good people as well as good players. Couldn't say enough. I mean, I sang their praises. I just couldn't say enough about what Dave Moore did and all the people that they brought in, and Haas and Salvies and all that we saw with Giordano Ventura. It was pretty spectacular.
It was. It got to by itself. Playing for Little Rock at the time, and so he was. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine called me Mike Trout thing down. I went, who is Mike Trout? I think myself what now the entire nation is Australia. But that's kind of the beauty of minor league baseball.
And that whole, I can distinctly remember going there, I think, one series before we went up to AAA in Northwest, and I just thought if we got him off base, that we could pass through the next 8 guys without too much trouble.
But I think you got to have one time. I was there that night. So, and I grew up on Tidewater. We had people who were met at that time, Tidewater Tide. We still there but it's some kind of a minor league guy. I did that, and it's a whole different animal. Concept for those that it's a lighthearted atmosphere. It's a great place. How are things going out there in Reno?
Things are great. I mean, we come in. I got here in the middle of our 5th year of a new ballpark. So the ballpark here is only 1 year newer than the one I left in Northwest Arkansas. But we've been able to do some good things here. We've gotten our attendance up. We've really gotten ourselves involved in the community. I just did an interview today with a TV station about the importance of minor league sports in a community, and I just said if the minor league ballpark is done right, it should be the community. The sport, whatever's being played on the field, really is irrelevant. It's about a safe, clean, fun gathering place that no matter what you enjoy, there's something for you. And that's kind of the approach we take, in all that we do. I mean, but it takes a lot more than the sport itself to ballpark.
Again, I mean, so compare that to me. I'm really obviously ballpark.
Arkansas, and part of what attracts me to Reno is this is a downtown urban ballpark here in Reno. So, I mean, really the Arvest. I can still see what's left of it outside of my window. So we're right in the heart of downtown. It's a much smaller footprint than Arvest Ballpark. So everything feels a little bit tighter. For the most part, it's okay. It's a little congested on our biggest night. But same kind of idea. You walk in at street level, the field is sunk down. So the first thing you see when you come in is sort of the field down below, around you.
Down in left center field, and so that's so minor lift, right? It's so much greater. So the entire season. Minor league baseball, what you saw in here, growing up in that, what is the
flashy new thing for so long, and then you gotta really work. And so I think it's an ever-changing environment. The business, the way the business is built from when it started to how it is today is really very different. The promotions are still a part of the business, but I don't think we rely on the promotions as much as we used to. It's much more heavily reliant on, selling big groups and, getting chunks of seats sold, well in advance of the game, not relying on, a firework night to just drive a whole bunch of people to come down last minute. It's a lot more strategized. We have dates we highlight and prioritize. We have other dates that, quite frankly, on a Tuesday in April, you're just not going to get very much. So don't spend a lot stressing about it. Focus on where your opportunity is. So it's taking a much more business-like approach, which I've learned to enjoy just as much as I enjoy the game. But it's business game. These ballparks are expensive. Games are expensive. And you can't just show up and roll the ball out and see what happens. You got to have a strong business plan behind what you're doing. So that's what's probably the biggest thing.
What do you think that?
Driving back, struggling a little bit at Major League over the weekend, late in the season. What do you see in terms of their, I guess, improvement, what the players are getting, that ball club?
Well, I think they're heading in the right direction. Mike got to meet Mike Jason at the winter meetings, and you just tell when a guy just has it. Whatever it is, he's just a guy who has it, and you can just tell he's a smart guy, considerate guy. Someone who really appreciates all the different pieces and parts that go into making a team click. So I think you've already seen that first big domino fall. Triple A is a little different than Double A in that prospects are great, but we don't necessarily we're not necessarily prospect reliant. We're here, you've got to have a lot of guys in kind of ready. So we get the older guys that, older is a relative term. The 26 to 32-year-olds that maybe is no longer specifically a prospect, but still has a lot of good legs under. And so those are the guys who make a big difference here. Not always the guys who make the biggest difference in the big leagues, but we've had Nick Evans, Kyle Anderson, Danny Dorn, not household names, but guys who can come down here, contribute, help keep they take some tough pitches so that maybe the younger guys might get a little bit easier at bat. They're vital, and they're a big piece of lifeblood crew.
Now, what do you think that the major league teams can win? Can kind of learn from some of what you guys do at minor leagues. I know with the ballparks. I know I'm originally from Lincoln, Nebraska, so I more so grew up with the Omaha Royals or Golden Spikes. I guess they're the Storm Chasers now. They got their new name. But even the Salt Dogs, they've had there in Lincoln for I think it's been almost 2 decades now. The fan experience is a much more opened up experience, and even at the major league level, baseball is a very local sport. So what do you think that, I'm here in Tampa Bay. I know one of the biggest struggles I know for them, is actually the corporate ticket sales, which is actually only a third of what the revenue they bring in at ticket sales, which is kind of backwards. But what could they learn from the minor league teams that they could apply at maybe the major league level to bring in maybe a wider, different, or expand that fan base?
Baseball really changed the culture of minor league baseball and took it from a promotion-driven, crazy type of atmosphere to a little more methodical, thought out, still fun. I like the word irreverent, rather than kind of out there. And so that approach has really been grabbed onto. I think Having been to a couple of Tampa Bay Rays games, we've got DJ Kitty and fun culture. Partly they don't have the history to fall back on.
Yeah.
DJ Kitty showed up at Yankee Stadium, lose their mind. But, with the Tampa Bay Rays or, with the Arizona Diamondbacks, people can get into that. So I think they're learning from what the minor leagues have done. The giveaways, the fireworks, the theme nights, the dollar dog nights, the, Thirsty Thursday. You're seeing a lot of grab onto that, those ideas, and I wish I had the resources if they're able to grab onto it and move pretty quickly because they've got the funds to implement pretty fast. So I give them credit. I think they're adapting and especially the teams without leading as much as are really diving in.
Now, as someone with experience that has negotiated legal rights, naming rights, stadium deals, stuff like that. The Rays are in sort of that situation where they're most likely going to build a new stadium here on the Tampa side. They're about $300 million short in public coffers to do so, but their biggest issue is finding the land to build it, where they want to, closer to downtown, the Ybor area. Can you talk a little bit about and kind of explain to the listeners about what some of these teams go through in this process of negotiation, finding homes for their team, and being able to settle that with the municipalities and businesses within the area? Can you kind of peel back that onion a little bit?
But at the end of the day, each situation is completely its own because you're dealing with a completely different set of elected officials with different priorities, with different financial either constraints or excesses depending on where the economy is at different times. At the major league level, the dollars have just gotten so gigantic in terms of what they're asking for. Even if a city is just sitting on an extra $300 million, that's really hard to part with that.
Yeah.
Chunk of money. And it's a little chicken or egg. Minor league stadiums, the boom in the last 25 years has been based on public sentiment that it's good for us to have minor league baseball, and so we're going to invest in it. The venues that we have, quite frankly, the businesses we operate probably wouldn't support that type of investment in these stadiums, but the municipalities believe it's important to have them. So it's a hard thing, and it just depends on what you're negotiating. Are you working on a sales tax? Are you working on, some type of property tax? Is it a tax increment district?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a redevelopment area?
Yeah. I think that's really where, with some of the tax dollars they're getting in for the Rays, redevelopment is a huge part of it because the Tampa Heights, Ybor, kind of those areas are more the tourist areas, pass-through areas, so they want to build them back up. So there are tax dollars available for that. Just to kind of hit on, I know a lot in the news has been about developmental leagues for professional football. Now, you've been a big part of developmental leagues in soccer as well as baseball. Do you think that professional football is past due for a developmental league?
Some differences, but in soccer, where the players are signing contracts with us, not with the major league team,
Mm-hmm.
you learn a lot about workers' comp. And that's the first thing where my head goes when you talk about a developmental league for professional football, would be unless the NFL was willing to completely underwrite that type of expense. The cost for you or I to go insure, 45 professional football players.
Mm-hmm.
That would be such a backbreaker just on that one line. Even if the players play for free, not even talking about the workers' comp, I think is the big issue. So that's why I think you can just continue to see. I think it's going to be difficult for a true developmental football league to really come up and be successful.
Okay.
Thirdly, like, what are the demographics? Are we bringing in a competitor to our own sports business? And I think what we sort of uncovered was that soccer in general, the demographic base, is almost the anti-baseball base. So it sort of captures a whole piece of the community that really isn't generally coming to a lot of baseball games. So, it took most of the 2015 calendar year to figure out that we wanted to do it, build a business plan, convince the USL that we should be awarded a franchise. Certainly I had to convince an owner that it was worth investing in this franchise. And it was all based upon the idea that we wanted to continue to utilize the venue to the best of our abilities and give Reno the most diversity possible in their entertainment. And it worked. We had the field fit perfectly. I tried, by the way, in Arkansas. Our best ballpark will not fit. So we had a field that fit, and a community we felt like we could be behind it. We have 25,000 students at the University of Nevada, a mile north of us. We have pushing a 30% Hispanic population who we know are is typically of Mexican descent, so they're typically a soccer fan more than a baseball fan. And neither of those two groups I just mentioned are really attending a lot of baseball games. So that was the biggest thing. And again, utilizing the venue and hopefully sounds crazy, but subtracting hours by adding events. But if we get large enough as a business, hopefully it should be us all working a few less games over the course of the year, not a few more games. And that's been my vision all along. If our whole staff has to work 71 baseball games plus 19 soccer games, then I'm not going to have many people working for me with years. Yeah, 70 wide, 70 by 110.
70 by 110. I mean, you have to have some serious foul territory and some serious walls of gas to accomplish that. I mean, that's
so now, it is a deep outfield. So Reno's 4,500 feet above sea level. So when in the infinite wisdom of those who built it, they knew the ball was going to fly a little bit. So our walls are pretty deep here, and it just happens that our right center field, not quite power out, this part of the ballpark is just to the right of center field, and we're at 425 to that wall. And so that's what gives us the. That's the deal. If that was a 400-foot, curved wall like you see in every ballpark in America, it would have been almost impossible to make it happen. And that was the first decision that had to be made is we had to go roll the dirt and see if the soccer field even fit. That thing could have been a non-starter really quick.
Yeah, I grew up going to baseball games before the field. Something out of that was what people told me. Why we started on Monday to have here, but hey, that's interesting, and then it happened to work that way, guys, to be able to accommodate that. Because if you maybe try to put football.
Yep.
Trying to get so work out some days, and how's that work?
Well, so we know that 71 games is not a whole lot of scheduling favors you can ask when you're trying to get 142 games, slated in 150 days. So you're going to get the baseball schedule how it is, but you also know that you're going to be generally home half the weekend and gone half the weekend. And the PCL runs on a pretty consistent 8-day on, 8-day off, back and forth. So the PCL schedule comes first, and then we actually schedule out. We give the league, the USL, our preferred date. So I've got a home event calendar that's sitting on my desk, and most of the Saturdays are full. In fact, from March 25th until October 14th, it looks like we have 3 Saturdays that don't have a game of some sort at the ballpark. So it's mostly Saturdays.
If you have kids, do you actually ever get home?
At the home when I get there. So I still haven't quite worked out the schedule because it isn't my favorite thing to look at. But I'm gonna have to miss some games.
Yeah.
As are all of us, and we're gonna have to work that out over the course of the year and get comfortable with not always being. And that'll be difficult, but I think it'll be a good growing lesson for me and for everyone in the building.
Well, you.
Time off, but wow, Kathy and I are also I have a full-time job and I do work stuff, so and my wife is a half as well, that's a full-time schedule. Kathy and I also learning those hands. Somebody's done a great job up there. So, what's your prospect in the first year of the soccer team? Baseball looks like it's going to sign and play by the parents, club, and community has to work. What's given. It's a whole different operation now with soccer, right? You're a general manager in the soccer team, and that is the personnel for soccer as well as dealing with the.
So we do have a general manager. That was also one of the things that I put myself out there as the face of the baseball club, and I'm not stepping away from soccer by any stretch, but it's important that we have a leader, that's the soccer face. I can't be both and do service to both. So we do have a soccer general manager. We do have an affiliation partnership with the San Jose Earthquakes that builds off the sort of the baseball template. It's only the second of its kind actually in the country for soccer. So we're working with them. So their assistant coach, Ian Russell, has come down to Reno to be our head. And so between Andy, our GM, and Ian, our head coach, they're out there signing players. Right now, I have nothing to do with that actual process other than asking questions about who they are once they tell me who we're signing. But they have a budget, and they know where to go find the guys. And you'd be amazed how many soccer players there are in the world. So we've got Jamaicans on our team. We've got a Swede. We've got a Brit. We're going to be well represented here in Reno.
With there's another team that joins the USL next season, which is the Tampa Bay Rowdies. It seems like they're already putting in a campaign to join the MLS. Do you think a move like that for them is a bit, ahead of themselves, or do you think a club like that is, would fit playing in the MLS already?
There's a lot of teams that are out there right now using the USL as a kind of a launching pad
Mm-hmm.
to MLS. We're not at all. I think we're all very comfortable with who we are in Reno, that we're going to look to be a model USL franchise for a long time. I think that I can't speak specifically on the Tampa Bay situation, other than knowing that they have a very strong owner who's invested quite a bit in that club. So, I mean, I know
Yeah.
come in here and be a competitor in the USL. There's a lot of USL teams that have said that they're going for MLS, and I think it's dangerous. I think it's extremely dangerous to use your current product to sell a future product that may or may not happen, and then what's left if that doesn't work out. And that's my biggest concern. Now, Tampa Bay's got a long history, so I don't put them in the same boat that maybe I'm putting some other clubs in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just dangerous because some of these teams are going to lose and aren't going to win that bid, and then they are going to have a USL franchise that they've been spending a significant amount of time convincing people that there's something better out there, and then having to get them to come back and come see USL. So that's the long answer to what I think. A really interesting situation that will backfire on some folks down the road.
And yeah.
I fully believe that. There's nothing wrong with ambition. I'm all for ambition. But blind ambition is scary. Again, I'm not putting Tampa Bay in that.
Yeah.
I might put Louisville in that situation. That's probably not a market that's really on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get, it's hard to, sometimes people want to be more than they are. I call it the plateau effect, but, we all hit a point that we're not getting any higher. And personally, professionally, our communities, and there's no harm in any level, whatever you end up at, but the only harm is if you don't accept it. And that's what gets tough.
Yep. Eric Edelstein, president of the Reno Aces and the Reno 1886 FC Club. They're in Reno, Nevada, here with us. What I've kind of noticed that works well for minor league teams or teams like ABA, second level professional teams or semi-professional teams, they work so much better in what I would coin a college market. Pro teams just seem to work so much better in large major markets where you get a lot of travel to them. Do you see any sort of correlation with that, with your experience working in minor league or second tier professional leagues?
Market, but if you have too many people and the market is too big, then you have trouble finding your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the back and forth. The biggest difference between Reno and Northwest Arkansas is that the University of Nevada is loved and revered, and people still wear that. They wear the gear everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't draw at a Mountain West level the same way that the Razorbacks did at the SEC level.
Yeah. Out,
I've really enjoyed it. I feel like we compete on that same level, and we both make each other better. Versus, when you're a minor league baseball team in an SEC market, you have to check to see if they send any releases out, because if you send a press release on the same day they do, you're not getting covered, and that's a little bit different here. So I don't necessarily miss that, but again, it's all relative, and the SEC market is just a little bit different.
So with Texas here, Eric, I mean, say that Arkansas is the only game that's got to town in the state, right? So, I think I was just talking to a friend of mine today at work. He's been a ticket holder for the Nationals since they started. And I was saying to them that, he gave me from one to year. My wife has worked at the university. She sent me to the Arkansas game. Baseball game to Arkansas. And that's not something that a lot of minor league teams do. Dominant baseball. The way to that, it's kind of bad from last year, but the thing is, once you get to the state, you have comparable to the Arkansas ballpark. You don't see that very often. The college ballpark is comparable to the experiences in the minor league. So I don't get it.
No, very, very much so. And you got to get yours, and do it differently, and find the people who aren't going to those games, and and we found our way, with the Naturals. That doesn't necessarily make it less frustrating at times, but all fair in good competition.
Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment dollar, right? I mean, that's what we're all going after. There's only so many of those dollars that people have to spend. And you've got to get that. And here in Arkansas, for $10 or, I think Arkansas is football and also, really glad that you found this popular. So I'm going to ask you again, what's your last place? If you look at Major League, do you like being broad, multiple sports that you have
I can honestly say that I've never applied for any job I've ever gotten. I would say they've come to me through doing hard work, and I would continue to take that approach. I'm not looking per se at anything. I have a terrific owner here. We're owned by the Simon family. Herb Simon, he owns the Indiana Pacers, NBA club as well. So, I have a tie with the Pacers staff. I've gotten to know them. I'm a resource. Mr. Simon is absolutely wonderful to work with in every single sense of the word. He's just, he's a hands-on owner in all the best possible ways. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it right now. And I wouldn't, probably wouldn't entertain anything for a good amount of time. And quite frankly, I just assume try to stick with the Simon family as long as I can, because they've done right by me. They've been really tremendous, and they've allowed me to really take some big risks, and they've been behind me the whole way. So it's been great.
Awesome. So I can't let you go before I let you go. You're a dad and Golden Bruce, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, yeah.
Correct. Here it comes. Oh.
When I told that to John, I did not tell him you were from a back.
Spend more time doing it. I will say it's very very hard to cover or to follow East Coast or Eastern time zone clubs out on the West Coast. The games are typically starting while I'm still working, and I'm not exactly one to run out the door at 5 p.m., so I just don't get to watch nearly as many games as I'd like. So I try to keep tabs on them, but I can't say that I have not been the best alum ever. Since I've been out here, I think I've paid a lot closer attention when I was just one time zone.
Well, I got a cheat. I got a cheat for you. I own a Fire Stick. You know, it's not a plug for Fire Stick, but I have a Fire Stick, and I have an app called Cody Jarvis on it, so it allows me to download other television apps. And one of them is College Football Replay. So literally every college football game that was recorded and televised somewhere is there, and you can watch in its entirety. So that's my little cheat. Kevin actually just sits down and watches all of them while they're on. He has like 9 TVs when he comes home, and you know, yeah. Yeah.
Well, by the way, remember from having the soccer team play at the Nevada Reno?
No. In fact, I think the whole mission behind it was facility utilization and maximizing the ballpark here. So no, we went into it knowing that we were going to have some work to do, but trying to get it played here.
Yes, it all to accommodate the soccer field of the stands to the stadium in some situations where the how's that going to work?
No, well, the biggest thing we need to do is we need to put about 10,000 square feet of grass over our infield, and that covers it up. We actually stay just outside the mound, so the mound stays in, and it kind of fits in kind of snugly there. So the best seats in the house are actually the worst baseball seats. The last few sections down the right field line are the very best soccer seats. You're right on the edge. You've got an absolutely great view of the whole field. It's really great.
Wow, the community, especially if you have a soccer loving community, will just love that. That's not so much. I am a big soccer fan. My daughter is a big soccer player. She's on this last third of that. So I follow soccer pretty regularly. I didn't watch the 20 to 30 years, and I was like one of the bright light, but I will guide the mind. Enjoy having Josh and I here, and if it's calling, come on again, we love it. Well, it's awesome.
It's been great.
Absolutely. Happy to any time. I appreciate you guys asking me on.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
All right. Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that's Eric Edelstein. Yeah, wonderful interview. Yeah. He's one of those guys, you know, he answered everything. It was fun talking to him, and I try to throw some out there stuff at him, kind of, and he was like, yeah, okay, yeah. He didn't dodge anything. I love that. I love it when you get guys that'll have a conversation.
the whole embracing the community and adding civilization to it, and that's a publicly financed stadium, by the way. So I would suspect that's going over very well in the community because the facility that's
Yeah. Really? And he's a young guy. I mean, he looks as young as he sounds. He really does. I don't know. He looks like he's 34, you know? He looks at probably, you know, I mean, he looks like he could be one of the guys on the baseball team, you know? Oh. Maybe, you know, maybe it was the best idea you didn't go to the Shrine game because there was a lot of MAC players there. And, you know, that Western Michigan, they had, you know, a couple guys there. At Toledo, I mean, you probably would have got Roberts to sign at least 5 things. I'm just saying.
Go out there and getting them star athletes and coach them up. The coach left in Minnesota did a great job. And we talked last week, he signed.
Yeah. Cooper. And, you know, I didn't really get to talk to him too much about him. Cooper will get drafted, in my opinion. He'll get drafted. I think he's a later round pickup. He has good size. He's a strong arm. He's fairly accurate. Some of his issue is his footwork is kind of choppy, and he's not so mobile from what I saw at the Shrine game. So I think he's going to be a later round guy. A lot of those guys at the Shrine game look to be later round guys. Some of them undrafted free agents. One of the particular guys that, you know, one of the agents I know pretty well, his guy, where I'm kind of looking at it, in the Shrine game, he had 1.5 sacks in the game. But from what I was gathering from some of the scouts that, you know, they see him potentially going undrafted, which is, you know, a word you don't really want to hear so much, as an agent, because you just have that much more work finding him a job, you know? Yeah. 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 Well, I know people over in Raiders Nation are just wanting to see Patriots lose. They're still salty about the whole tuck rule. I was talking with some people over there, and that's something I want to get into after the break. A little bit about the situation that's going on in Oakland, Las Vegas with the stadium situation. Just a week ago, we're talking about, it's good. The Raiders are going to move to Vegas. They put in the official paperwork, but now it looks like it might be a little shaky. So we'll get into that, as well as the 49ers hiring John Lynch as their general manager, and much more. You're listening to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports here on the Go Long Media channel on blogtalkradio.com. All right, for all you guys over there on YouTube and Spreaker that don't get the commercials from Blog Talk, I appreciate you guys listening in. Awesome interview with Eric Edelstein this evening. So look forward to having him back pretty soon. I'll have a article up on it this week, so you can read more about that as well. Just remind everybody, we have a partnership with Amazon. So if you go over to thechtonsports.com, you click on one of the Amazon links there, those proceeds go to the site to help us continue the site, bring in new writers, editors, contributors to help mentoring, education, in journalism, broadcasting, and whatnot. So it's a lot of different things that we try to do at the Cold Hard Truth on Sports that you don't see elsewhere, and we don't really talk a whole lot about, but just kind of let you guys know those proceeds go to the site to help expanding some of those other ventures that we go into. So, all right, we're going to come back from break. Check out Richard Reese. Check out richardreeselive.com. Welcome back here to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports here on the Go Long Media channel on blogtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Matthew Long, accompanied by my co-host, Kevin Krest. If you just joined us, the number to call in is 347-237-5539. We had president of both minor league baseball team, the Reno Aces, and the Reno 1886 FC on to lead off the show. So you'll be able to listen to that full segment. Just go over to thechtonsports.com. Click on the listen link. It's the very beginning of the show. Last week we had on Lee Steinberg. Same scenario. Beginning of the show. You can go over to the website, thechtonsports.com. Listen to him over there. Follow the show at the CHT on Sports. You can follow me and get at me at Matt Long Sports, and you can get at Kevin at Kevin Krest, and that's Krest with a K. So just before the break, I was teasing a little about the Raiders situation, teasing in a way that we're going to talk about it, and also that they are having the damnedest time finding a place that they know where the stadium is going to be, that they do have financing for it. We were just a week removed from, reporting that the Oakland Raiders put in paperwork to move the franchise to Las Vegas, where they had a partnership to build a stadium there. The Raiders are putting $500 million into it. Their ownership is. The city of Las Vegas is putting in $750 million into to it via, from what I understand, it's various taxes on people that visit, vacationers, travel taxes, stuff like that. And then they had $650 million that was coming from casino mogul Mr. Edelstein and Goldman Sachs. And evidently he forgot to, let a guy that's putting in a third of the bill know that they were going to be talking with the county about leasing and stuff like that. And that was enough to tick him off, and he withdrew his money. They reached out to Goldman Sachs, and they were like, yeah, that's Edelstein kind of was a package deal. So if he's not there, we're not there. So they lost out on those investors. Now, I don't think they're going to have too much trouble, Kevin, being able to find somebody to foot the bill for an NFL franchise. I mean, where do you see that? Where do you see that heading? March. Yeah, it's March.
I've never understood. Why don't they just play down in Santa Cruz during the 49ers? Why don't they share a stadium like they do in New York, like they do in LA? Why do that far away to actually play in the same stadium? You're the Niners would love the residents playing from that stadium. I don't quite get it. I do get there's an animosity between the franchises, but why should all expense to you when you're facing your stadium deal right here in the Bay Area for all your fans? My concern with Las Vegas is I just don't know if they have demographics and I guess commercially or the money to support an NFL franchise going forward. That's not Las Vegas, although it's a very big area. Their per capita income is not very high, and outside of the casino, I don't have a broad business base. You don't have corporate headquarters. You don't have things like that typically buy
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, for example, is still struggling with the major city, but they have a lot of corporate headquarters, most of them. Thanks to their I could go on and on. There's several companies. There's not companies headquarters in Vegas. They're called Win. They're in the low down.
Yeah.
Plus, the gambling aspect, I don't think the gambling aspect is reality whatsoever. You have gambling all over the place. You have gambling in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just not concerned with the plans up, and that's both for another corner.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is if you reach out to Vegas and can they go back to Oakland and find the fan base? I'm going to say yes because fans and
Yeah, I don't know if it's, they decide to stay if there's many fans that are going to feel, bastardized by it. Ronnie Law is still leading an effort there in the Bay Area to build a stadium in East Bay, and they have plans for a $1.25 million stadium there in East Bay. I just think that the Davis family and the ownership there, the investors there, are just looking for other opportunities outside of Oakland. The fan base is great in Oakland. They travel well. They've stuck with the Raiders between Oakland and LA, and back and forth and back and forth, and they've stuck with the Raiders. So them moving out of the Bay, it's not great for those fans, but I think what the ownership is thinking, that there's a large chunk of those fan base that are going to be willing to travel to Vegas. I mean, flights to Vegas are cheap from just about everywhere. It's really within, driving distance almost. I mean, how much further is it from Reno to then? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And one of those are going to be in London anyways. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good scenario. Let's say Kansas City, the Chiefs move to St. Louis. You don't have a cut in downtown St. Louis.
Yeah. Hotels, deserts, high-end restaurants, shopping. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, talking about, I'll use Miami fans as an example. I have friends here in Tampa and Orlando that are season ticket holders for the Hurricanes, and they go every home game, and they try to go to if they play Florida State or Florida or UCF or USF, they also try to go to those games as well. So, they travel. I don't know. It's I admit I have trouble sometimes going to a Rays game 30 minutes from my house, and here they are driving 4.5 hours, to Coral Gables to watch the Canes and a mediocre season. Had to take my Miami shot there. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Mobile. So with LA driving, you get there in like 4.5.
1 o'clock game. Game gets over at 4. Get the car, you drive home, get home midnight at 1 o'clock, and it'll look like one.
Sounds like a plan. Well, and here's the thing. I'm trying to find, I can't find the article I got it out of, but I guess they're estimating 15,000 of the fans will be transit fans other than, the normal Raiders fans that would come from, L.A., Oakland, Compton, from over for California already. They're saying about 15,000 fans will, because you have about 9,000 people that are just coming anyways to Las Vegas on any given weekend, that the NFL is an attraction for them. And depending on, they have so many things to do there, but the NFL is such a draw in any city. And that's the crazy thing. I was reading a couple years ago, they had these stats on how the density, what the actual contact density of NFL fans are. How deep did it go, fandom in cities, and it didn't really matter. It's crazy. I mean, even in these college towns, the NFL is just as dense as any other sport there, more so than any other professional sport, truly. But that's kind of the interesting pull behind it. So, some of that, transit traffic, they're kind of counting on to going to football games too. What were we saying? Yeah.
A lot of Raiders fans. I think that 15,000 probably, I would say that's probably a pretty good estimate, might be higher. Especially good guys. Derek Carr got terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, we saw the way Brady got hit last weekend before last, and I just feel like that defense, the Raiders defense, would have been able to get to him as much, if not more. See, that's what I'm thinking about the Falcons. That they got edge rushers. They have a front four that can a front seven that can kind of get there and make things happen. Athletic linebackers. I just looked it up. It's 6 hours from Los Angeles to Oakland. So it's actually, and your number 2 market in the country is actually 2 hours closer now by it being in Las Vegas. So you can pull more people from LA now that it's in Vegas than you could have before in Oakland. Now, obviously, Oakland, San Francisco is on the other side, but they're clear out in Santa Clara, right? They're not, from what I understand, it's really not close. Yeah, that's.
I've worked extensively in travel extensively and frankly, it's not that far. That's how it's suburbs anyway. So when you go north to Oakland or southwest, literally out that area.
Yeah. The thing is, it could really work. You got AFC and NFC. The Raiders, I mean, if I don't know who owns Levi Stadium. Did the 49ers, they own it?
As you know, I am not a proponent of public stadiums that they don't have football. Baseball, perhaps. Baseball, perhaps, not football. It's the only place that the title is supposed to be a part of it. But that stadium is a marvel because almost all one side of it is no boxes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they, that's how it is in Nebraska. I mean, when you look at Levi Stadium, that's how Memorial Stadium is in Lincoln, but it also has another 20-some thousand more seats on top of that. So it's crazy. No, I mean, I've seen a lot of pictures. I haven't been able to visit it yet, but I think that's kind of one of the next things I want to work on is visiting sports stadiums. You know, kind of get a different feel for different sports stadiums and stuff. But so.
Great for that stadium here in Arkansas, they tore down the entire north end area of the stadium. They're building an entire the stands that are most around here. The future of this deal. I mean, I have friends of mine that literally they pay $4,000 or $5,000 to have a 4 Tennessee. And so it's a big deal here. It's going to get down. It is a big social aspect. It's a big part of this development. What the whole business the entertain clients.
Yeah.
All the way down the middle part of the arena. So there are 40 suites. The baseball stadium all the way from down pole down along the middle concourse of the stadium. So it's a big deal here. I've been thinking like, we're talking earlier, talking about having this Arkansas sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult because it's a long stadium. Arkansas Razorback Stadium is actually bigger and nicer than the stadium. Okay? Actually, I have to check out. It'll actually be record. One of the
Only you on YouTube saw that fix. Special stuff just for YouTube Live. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was always. The thing is, it's interesting that the Thunder has been able to work so well in Oklahoma City. I know they had the population, and I know the Sonics, Supersonics, kind of was the trial for there, and obviously they ended up moving there. It's worked out really well because they sell a lot. You know, they do have that college environment mentality, and I think, you know, like Kansas City. Even though obviously they don't have the basketball, same kind of history, or Oklahoma City, but they've kind of become that, you know, almost that the Green Bay of the NBA. You know, it's still that college kind of environment with the fan base, kind of the loyalty to it, because it's all they have there. It's interesting to see the dynamic. Okay. Yeah. They brought a new attraction. Yeah.
Second round of the tournament, and they were playing Oklahoma, and so I got to go to the over, and it was a fabulous afternoon. We went hung out in the entertainment district, went to a couple of bars, went to a nice lunch, went to the game. So they put together a really nice package of Oklahoma City. The arena, entertainment district, plus culture's not that far away. You got Oklahoma culture together implies a fairly large population. They get behind the one team, and they're not having to court dollars from businesses for a football team, the basketball team, the baseball team, and all that. They just have the one team. So all of the businesses have gotten behind the Thunder. They buy the tickets, they populate the team.
Yeah.
They've amassed this incredible backing behind the business. And so one team can actually thrive behind that team because there's no competition for that because I mean, it makes some sense to they be able to do that. But the center even with the lack of land. Now, the Canada punched down the chair last year.
Yeah. The kicking net does too. Odell Beckham learned that. Yeah. Or neck.
So, yeah, I think the Thunder they have it, they've got the money, Valley Tech, they've got the gas. And by the way, you do that. You do it enough. It's a very, very it's not a bad thing. And that's important trying to sell that one product. And by the way, also has another really nice thing. I'll be going there to the NCAA championship. I got my tickets last week. I'll be going there and covering the first and second round of that. Obviously, the will show up in that. We can win. The whole thing, obviously, you and I have no familiar vote, and we'll just have some comments on it. But this is going question for me.
Yeah.
They've got to find it. NFL's not going to allow it.
Yeah, they have to have 24 of 32 owners agree for them to move to Las Vegas. I know a couple of them already are saying that it's unethical or a conflict of interest to be in Vegas. You know, they're thinking the gambling aspect of it. It's the Chargers. Watch, it's the Chargers that are saying that. Watch, it's the team that didn't get approval to move cities, that just went ahead and moved to LA anyways. Would be the team that and Roger Goodell spoke on that. Was it last week? No, this week. Yeah, Monday. He was on Cowherd on Monday. He said, it's unfortunate that they decided to move. It's not something that they really necessarily agreed with. They liked the San Diego market. They thought that that market had a lot to give to the NFL. I mean, they've hosted Super Bowls there before. And for whatever reason, the owners, and again, you're always saying the Chargers' defense, they've had that stadium since the 70s, What is such the drawback? Why can't they find financing for a stadium from anywhere? Where's their Ronnie Lott trying to find 1.25 billion to build a stadium? Oh, they're not asking. They're threatening. They're threatening.
Where I've been, that's company headquarters down here, right?
Yeah. Yep, Tampa company. So is Bonefish.
They've got one of the Italian places there. Are they asking to pay us cash to build the restaurant? No, they're not. They're not. So why is it that it's okay for owners? By the way, football players, it's okay. There's no skill over there. These athletes are way overpaid.
Yeah, I don't think they're overpaid. If the revenue, if athletes are overpaid, then imagine what the owners are. I mean, the owners have earned the income, and if the player, listen, if the ownership can make these same demands on fans and a city to build them a stadium, and they have every right to make as much money as they can by not having to pay for that stadium, as the players, as independent contractors, isn't the understanding is you should try to get the most out of your limited career? Again, if we look at it as overpaid per year, yeah, but if you look at it over a course of a lifetime, all right. Yeah. Why should taxpayers foot the bill for roads, sidewalks, parks? Oh, wait, hold on. And here's again. Oh yeah, they use them. They use them. They use it. But also, as part of revitalizing areas, these developers that are in Tampa Heights and over here just west of the Tampa, I think it's Riverside or something like that. They're getting tax dollars to build condos because it's part of a revitalization tax. Stipends that the government got. It's federal grant money. So they're going to get federal grant money to help subsidize their building of, it's not public housing, it's private housing. It's waterfront private housing. Nothing. They get to live in them, but they have to pay rent. It's not discounted. Yeah. What about the people that pay tax for education and they don't have kids? I pay a tax for kids and I pay a tuition. For the most part. Yeah, for the most part they did. But he also lined up the NFL Network to house broadcasting out of there. So he found some high-end tenants to begin with. Yeah. But that's the smart. See, that's what I'm saying. The ownership should look at it the same way Kroenke did. Stan Kroenke had the right idea. I'm just going to go build a stadium in L.A. I'm going to build a stadium there regardless if you let me move the team from St. Louis or not. And I'll own that stadium. Because, exactly.
What's really happening is the gas comes at the same time. That's exponential.
Oh, yeah.
Dollars does he pay back the municipality for the taxes? Simple as no.
No.
You got to pay him back. It just doesn't work that way. But patently, to me, I have a problem with it. I understand tax break. I understand giving somebody a tax break. Like saying, well, there's a place here, if you build a stadium here, I'll give you a break on local or state tax. I get that, I can understand. But to actually, for every dollar that a person spends in that municipality, to add a cent or two on it to fund the stadium, for somebody to pay, overpay, and still get, come on. They're overpaid if in fact the underpinning of the finances are for publicly funded places of business. That's my point. If this can all be done, on general business practices, they're not overpaying because there's no public money involved. But once you involve public money, it becomes overpaying. Because it's a tax. We're subsidizing it. And why should I subsidize LeBron James? Why should I subsidize Tom Brady? Why should I subsidize Why should I subsidize Steph Curry? Why can't subsidize this guy? I can subsidize me, or you, or we as teachers buying their own school supplies, yet we're subsidizing athletes hundreds of millions of dollars. It makes no sense. They're playing in stadiums that are publicly financed. Why not take the 2 cents a dollar and take it from the school? That's my opinion.
You know, you don't see, SeaWorld or Busch Gardens or Six Flags or other amusement parks getting subsidies to fix roller coasters or anything like that. But we have to... Minimum wage. We're lucky. Yeah. Yeah.
Build the entire thing for you. And by the way, they're going to pay my run out for $50 an hour. So they're going to make $120,000. By the way, you're really safe that a guy that all the years I used to play basketball would not play basketball for 8 years instead of 6 years?
I think he would if he could play it till he was 50. But when 28...
Somehow, buys a house, takes kids to school, pays for health care, and eats their debt.
And is in debt till they die. And is in debt till they die. Well, the average family is.
Already out-earned the average year 4 times his entire year, 1 year. They decide to pull your contract and make $13 million instead of signing your 4-year contract for $64 million. I think it's still pretty well off. So why is the taxpayer subsidizing that income so he can make $62 million instead of $32 million?
But they're not really subsidizing so he can make his millions. They're subsidizing so they have an opportunity to have a professional franchise in their city. That's what they're paying the price for because they want the team there. That's why pro teams go after large markets because there's enough people there to subsidize that stadium that they'll pay for it. There's enough people to come in to pay inflated prices to see their professional teams. Yeah. No, they did. That's the crazy. Okay, so here's the situation. Oakland has people now. Ronnie Lott has people that are working to get those funds for Oakland. San Diego had nothing. St. Louis approved it. It was approved. They had designs. They're like, yeah, we'll be able to do this. This is what it is. Whatever you want. Just stay here. Don't go. And they're like, I'll build a stadium. It'd be nicer. It'd be mine, too. They're like, yeah, but you can have this one. No, I'm good. So what's the difference between, these owners deciding, they want to move to a different city, then, it seems just like that person in a relationship that just decides, I feel that I have a better opportunity somewhere else. We're going to break up. Why is this such a big, as much of a deal? I mean, if it's so bad for the taxpayers to begin with, and you have to put up with all this misery and extra money you spend for a team that's, financially not feasible or beneficial for you in any way, why is letting them go such a bad thing? I mean, we talk, poor fan base. It's a shame for that fan base. They lose their team. That, we just saved them a ton of money by letting them go. Now your average household income is higher. It's better that they're gone, right? You can still watch them on TV. You can fly to L.A., or you can drive, a few hours to Kansas City and watch the Chiefs. It's not like a team has completely left your state. They're just down the road now. Now you got to drive a little bit further, I mean, what is it? I proved earlier this week I'm terrible knowing the distance between cities. I thought, Reno was like an hour and a half away from my drive. But that tells me what I remember. It's 6 hours away. I mean, St. Louis and Kansas City are what, 4 hours, 5 hours maybe, if that? Well, those flights are going into LAX. They fly out of Kansas City. Kansas City's the hub. Be a Chiefs fan. They got a good thing going. No. Yeah. They're a baseball town. That's why. I guess, yeah.
And that team is strong. So St. Louis is probably got a great fan. But I don't mind the time to visit them. But I do not condone publicly financed stadiums. That's all I can.
And that's fair. That's a fair.
If Tampa wants to build a stadium, in order to win back a best part of town, that's fine. But it's fine to private money to do it.
Yeah.
By the way, this one Your high school football team is of the front, okay? They each have their own state. How about so they take 10 days, they 5 days per term, each have their own state, across the board.
But they have varsity and JV that play. So it's 10 games a year. And I'm sure they have a track that goes around the football field. So it's track and field. So that's what? At least 3 events a year. Varsity, I mean, the band uses it every single day. Yeah.
Taking stuff here for Friday, we do not have practice, separate stuff. In football. It's 5.
Well, I want to sell volcano insurance down there. I'm going to come through and sell some volcano insurance. Because it sounds like... speaking of volcano insurance... out in California, a businessman, York and DeBarlow, decided to hire a general manager for their team that had 0 front office experience. The San Francisco 49ers, which Forbes rated as the 3rd highest valued franchise in the National Football League, hires John Lynch, who's one of the finalists for the NFL Hall of Fame, 15-year veteran of the league, safety, played for the Buccaneers and the Broncos, winning the only Super Bowl that Tampa's ever won. His last year before retiring was with the Patriots, but he was cut after camp and then decided to retire. So if you want to, Patriot fans, if you want to throw him in there too to make yourself excited, at night, then do that. Whatever. Who cares? Now, again, I got an article out. If you go over to thechtonsports.com, kind of announcing this, I don't have an issue with the hire per se, because from the way I look at it is, a lot of times with business, and I've been in the position where you're hiring people, if you just try to fit everybody into this box of what that employee should look like, then you're going to miss out on a lot of people that may be better fits for the job. And I think going outside the box here, they may be able to pay off big. Is there going to be a learning curve? You could only expect it. But 15 years in the National Football League, several years as a broadcaster with Fox, tons of relationships all over the league with front office people, scouts, coaches, players. It gives him the experience to kind of understand this. Again, everybody I've ever talked to has talked so highly about him as a football mind. Very smart guy. Stanford. He went to Stanford. And not many dummies that go to Stanford. So to really say that he's going to fail before he really even begins and call it a crap hire, I'm reluctant to say that. I've just seen so many times where you hire somebody that's not typically what would be hired for that job, and they excel. And he very well might be that guy. I know, Kevin, you look at it a little bit different.
Why him? Why now? This is a franchise that is going to anybody.
I don't know if they could get anybody anymore. I mean, they've had 2 head coaches, fired him back to back. Mm-hmm.
High risk, high risk. John Lynch made expected better than John Elway. I mean, he doesn't have that Krest. But if you look at front office people in the NFL, they're not former players for the most part. I mean, obviously, it is so what it's so great.
He is.
Background from the business perspective and the negotiation perspective to you can't go toe-to-toe with these cycles for get cycles, right? I'm better negotiation. Cycles are around 14 years. What's the job looking at? And initially will be a great guy. I just don't think that that's the right role for him. If he wants to go front office, look at the margin of players or player personnel or something like that. The general manager, that's a big role. That's a big guy. And I'm a manager. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, when Jed York was talking about hiring a general manager, with these people they were doing first and second interviews and stuff with, they were sending them to Atlanta to hang out with Kyle Shanahan to see how well they would mesh, because the problems that they've had have been between the general manager and head coach head-butting to begin with. And you know, Kyle Shanahan, he was an offensive assistant here in Tampa during, you know, the last years of Lynch's time here. And then Lynch left here in Tampa to go to Denver to play for Mike, Kyle's father. So the Shanahan family has a lot of familiarity with John. I don't know. Again, Kyle's the one saying that, you know, I sign off on him. You know, again, he's presented with people that have had a lot more experience, and he knows that this could be his only shot at being a head coach. And there's no head coach that's just, I'll just take the job and see what happens, you know. They want to succeed. That's the nature of the beast. They want to succeed. So it's hard for me to believe that they're going to just take on somebody because they're friends with them. I know kind of the story with the Crush, talking about John Elway, kind of segue back into that. He owned the Crush. I know we talked earlier, maybe the AFL, he was part owner in that too, but he owned the Colorado Crush. So he had, and it was in the front office there. So he had some experience there before going to Denver. His first year, he hired a friend of his as head coach, and they like 2-12 or something like that. They failed miserably. And then they fired him. He hired a better, well-known head coach, and, you know, then 2 years after that, they win the Reno Bowl. So, you know, it's tough to say is it a friendship thing, but being in a situation that they are, of having hired and fired, you know, having 3 head coaches in the last 2 years, truly, it's tough for them to say, Yeah, you do. It's something fresh. But if this fails, if they fire them before 3 years, pardon my words, if they fire them before 3 years, people around the league, quality people around the league, are going to look at them like, I'm not touching that. Until they have different people hiring general managers and staff, I won't even take the job. I think I should be held in high regard. But until I see that they're hiring people around there making good decisions, because if I'm there and I'm not getting the opportunity and they're just going to fire me willy-nilly, then I don't want to waste my time there, because that could be my only shot. I know Kyle knows this, understanding, not everybody like his dad gets that second shot in the league. I mean, most guys don't, but the Niners have some money to burn. I mean, like I said, third highest valued franchise in the league. They're right there near Silicon Valley. I know they invest a lot of money in the Niners. They got their brand new stadium in Santa Clara. The fans, good fan support, even though that the team hasn't performed, and that's just it. I don't know. I'm not ready to say that it's a bad hire. But I find it intriguing. Like, obviously there has to be something to John Lynch for, an organization that literally, I mean, they've went out on limbs before. They hired Jim Harbaugh away from Stanford, and then that didn't work out.
Done that before, but maybe just some stability. Maybe GM and coach on the same page, right? And then maybe the high there, guys come in, you bond, and maybe if they had bonded already, right?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Well documented. That's not that's well documented. That's fact. So maybe you're trying to go, okay, we try to build a team, a front office with the head coach. Okay.
I mean, yeah. Yep. And by the way, he said Kaepernick's out. If he takes the job. If he takes the job, Kaepernick's out. That's what he said. So. Now, as far as the front office goes, they do have an executive vice president of, football operations, and Mathe. I mean, the guy has his 16th year. He's been with the 49ers for 16 years in a front office position. So there's some people like him in place. I mean, they still have. They still have President Al Gudillo. Again, he has a pretty good amount of experience in the league. He was one of the guys that delivered the $2.8 million to the city of Santa Clara as general fund and non-event revenue. So, I mean, the guy has some experience in knowing how to make money for this team and get good people in the right places. So I mean, they got some good front office people there. Maybe not. I mean, most people may not be household names, but still, I mean, and then Tom Gamble, he's an assistant general manager. So, and anybody that's paid attention to the league, he's had a lot of success in talent evaluation, scouting, bringing in great players. I know he was with the Eagles for quite some time. He's been responsible for bringing some good people into the league. I mean, he was there at the Colts, one of the guys that, when Peyton Manning was there. So under Bill Polian. So again, that's a good tree to be under, Bill Polian. He doesn't really get much better than that. So it's not like they're leaving him in the middle of the woods, or he has tools. He has supporting staff to work with. I'm just saying, again, what his role is as the general manager could be more inspirational, more X's and O's, more assisting, a first-time head coach. It could be more of that, more input there. I know Shanahan has control over the 53. So, maybe he's more of an X's and O's guy. Maybe he's an extension of the coaching staff in the front office rather than, just being that typical controlling free agency draft and 53 guy. So we're about 30 seconds away from going into overtime. If you want to listen into the overtime segment here on Blog Talk Radio, you have to call in 347-237-5539. On Facebook Live and Spreaker, you can just keep listening. So, or go to the website, the chtonsports.com. Listen link. Yeah.
They're really to intervene between Shanahan and the front office, the former players guys. I get all that. I still think, though, that at the NFL level, it's a bit of a risk. That, right?
Yeah, I mean, if by means that he has no formal experience, yes, he's unproven.
John Lynch was a player. I lived in Tampa from 1998 to 2003. Okay, I was there when they were really good, and I met some of these guys. I like them. Coach knows the organization is great. The players were high caliber, were high character. I don't get it wrong, but that's a risky thing. Yeah. They may have interviewed him. I didn't interview John Lynch. I didn't talk to him about the job. I don't know what his enthusiasm is. I don't know what his plan is. Obviously, they feel good about it. So that's fine. I just think it's a bit risky. Not having more confidence and not seeing more experience for John Lynch in the front office position. That's all. That's my point.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I just haven't seen the environment in San Francisco for anybody to perform well.
Yeah, a lot of people call it a dumpster fire, and unfortunately, that's just the thing, is like, they've gotten some bad hires. I mean, how many times we look back at Jerry Jones and the stupid people he's hired, has it really hurt the Cowboys? No. The 49ers have history. I'm not worried about the 49ers. They can have some really shit seasons. Same thing with the Lakers in the NBA. They can be really crappy for a while. And people are still going to pay money for tickets and go to games. Bitch and complain, but talk about the glory years. When you have Montana, Young, and Rice to talk about, Ronnie Lott, who still lives there. He's campaigning for the Oakland, but still, you got guys that are active, in history for the team. I mean, they're not going to go anywhere. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Rice also played for the Broncos and the Seahawks. There's trivia for you, right? But retired a Niner. So, it's, again, I'm not so quick to harp on it. It's not, I don't think it's such a bad hire. Because I don't know, because the way that it's structured, it maybe, again, like you say, he may just be acting more as an extension of the coaching staff in the front office. Maybe they eventually want him to run more and do more. Elway was able to buy a team and into a league to get his experience, to cut his teeth, but also...
Brought Elway in, and Elway took some of that off and said, you can't argue with that. They might have playoff the first in a row, on the ball, there should be in a row. So, I just got him a great guy. I'm sure he's dead. He's a great guy. But look at Tampa.
I don't know. I know he's here fairly frequent. I know Alstad lives here. Sean King lives here. Sean King was a running back coach for USF. Yeah. A lot of them are, yep. Tony lives here in Lutz. I want to say he lives in Denver. Him and Ed Reed live in Denver.
I just think it's kind of an odd hire. And actually, as we discussed this, they may really want more of a legal job because we have trouble.
Yep.
They're obviously when you run off and tell you the Super Bowl, that's not there. That's just not there. And so, hopefully, the NFL's got great. It's got great franchises to be great. The Niners should be good. It's better for the league than the Niners are good. Right now, it's got the Steelers are good, the Packers are good. Patriots are good. The Cowboys are good. Once those old franchises are good, it's good for the NFL. It's good for viewership. It's good for ratings. It's good for the list.
Yeah.
And a bad United team isn't good for the list. It just isn't. And so hopefully they can get that bad with that. I do think that. I think it's probably good if they're that kind of franchise. But the stuff is the bar was before. It's different other things. They've got to find a way.
You know, it's funny because I mean they've went through these ups and downs before. I mean they had George Seifert for a while. He did well. Steve Mariucci came in after him. Dennis Erickson stunk the joint up. Mike Nolan, I think, was after that. One season there, stunk the joint up. Mike Singletary, you know, they have a lot of sound bites from him. Can't work with them. Can't play with them, you know. And then he was fired. And then Jim Tomsula was the interim. Yeah. I mean, Harbaugh capitalized from it. Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I guess my question is, talent for a football team. I mean, but it's kind of, what's the skill set right now? Because neither are not a very good football team. They don't have talent. They don't have talent. Somebody's got to get them playing. A Wawa coach, Kyle Shanahan, has two offensive teams, but no players to run it. This is going to be successful. You have to have players.
Yeah, I mean they have some decent talent there that they just need to develop and build around. I mean, DeForest Buckner, I mean, he played well. I mean, you got a guy like that, a rookie. I mean, he's something to look forward to. You know, I know a lot of guys have kind of expressed their concerns with, again, it's the run over the 53. When Tom Sula has run over the 53, when, you got Chip Kelly, again, he had to have run over the 53. He did some questionable things in Philadelphia. It's left them the beginning of this year without skilled players, and questionable on defense, other than along the defensive lines. It's some weird things. Now, their offensive line had been good, but yeah. I don't think he had a losing season in the NFL. So you can't get too upset with that. I mean, they have some young talent there. They want to see guys like Navarro Bowman get back. That's a guy that they feel that, leadership that could be there. They want to see Carlos Hyde do more. Can he? Yeah. Can Quentin Patton be their leading receiver? Can he step up to the task? I mean, Torrey Smith, he's one of those burners where they should have been able to get over the top with him and get the ball to him. But they had quarterbacks that weren't good. You can't throw, Old or or non-experience. I mean, Ahmed Brooks, 11th season for him, you know.
John Lynch never acquired a player that was like, why don't you let him guy with talent?
But they do have that guy. Their assistant general manager. Well, they haven't been stellar. I mean, they got DeForest Buckner out of it. They're trying to rebuild an offensive line. I don't think that... I think... what was his name? Gillette? I don't think he was a bad pick out of Stanford. At offensive line. Yeah.
Went to the that is from expansion status to competitive 5 years. Then he went to the call. And still yeah, you're right. Except for the Bill Williams.
I mean, he picked up, what's his name, the wide receiver, Kelsey? Wasn't it Kelsey? Hold on. Let me pull it up. Jeremy Curley, who wasn't all that bad with the Jets. I know he was with the Jets, so people want to rag on him. But, I mean, he was their leading receiver this year. I mean, that was a good free agent acquisition. When you pick up, they're hardly paying him. The standards where NFL players are at these days, I mean, they're hardly paying him. So, I don't have his contract or anything up here, but you know, yeah, it's a great segue. Sunday, Super Bowl 51 in Houston. Who won the Super Bowl? How much money Vegas lost? You know, they're keeping the line at 3 on purpose, you know, because they want to inch that line up higher for the Patriots. They just don't want to take a big dump like they did in the national championship game. They took a huge dump. Bad. Oh, you're buying? Great. Now I know. You're buying. Now I know. Yep. Stick with them. Did you play the lottery too? Mine should have.
Brady and Belichick, and then it's been there before. But part of me thinks that this was ambushed waiting to happen for the Patriots. The Falcons have looked fantastic the last second half of the season. And nobody paid attention because nobody watched the game. If they weren't on national television. They weren't scheduled that way. But man, this could be. I don't think it's a football game. I just got on my betting site tonight. It was live party.
Still at 3. They're not going to move it. I've heard as much as 7. They easily get 7.
I will probably bet down to an outright in the bottom of it because I'll get a really good odds that way. I'll just get it outright. I guess it's correct. Brian David Robinson, look at the way Brian David Robinson, Julio Jones is good at this position. And it's running back. Le'Veon Bell went out injured against the big jam and I'm just wondering, Bill Belichick does a great job of stopping what he does. Can you tell me, what is it that man does best? Either he's running or he's throwing, that line, and it goes, the real wide receiver is really good.
Sanu. Mohamed Sanu. Who was a free agent pickup, by the way. He was out there for everybody to pick up.
So, what are you going to do if you're and it's indoor? So, there's no weather. Why is there that kind of environment in place for all season long? There's no advantage to that. I don't know. And the defense is playing really well. So I'm gonna have to go with the Falcons here. Just because, and the other thing too is, despite the fact that Ravens won 4 Super Bowls and the Patriots won 4, the Patriots don't play all that well in the Super Bowl. They don't play as well in the Super Bowl as they do in the They were 18-0 and lost. And the teams they beat in the Super Bowl aren't great teams. So I don't know if Belichick doesn't overthink it. So I'm going Falcons, and I'll be on my radio show on Friday morning. I'm going to go Falcons as well. But I'm all in the Falcons. I think the Falcons.
Yeah. I think the Patriots have everything they need to win. But if you're matching them up, despite what the rankings say of the better defense being the Patriots, I feel that for this game, I think Atlanta's going to have the better ability to get to Brady. And I think that more pressure on Brady could create more opportunities for the defense. Now, it could create opportunities, that 3-step, quick, a lot of slants and stuff like that. We have to see how, they have good athletic linebacking core. Just to see how is the secondary going to handle the quick stuff. The offense is there to score. I don't think they've faced anybody that's had 2 dynamic backs, 2 good wide receivers. legitimate tight end threat, and even their third option at wide receiver can do some damage for Atlanta. So I just, offensive weapons are there to win. So I
number one, their progress are right?
yeah.
Knocked off State in the first game, and so you avoid Pittsburgh's defense players really good. So you end up playing. What they were playing? It's like the fourth, 56 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He is great. Probably won't get it when he plays 12 games because especially that line, that social defense or whatever. But so I just don't think they like this. More money. I just don't think they take the team seriously. I think it's going to be I'm going to, remember on our podcast, the day that game, and I pretty much nailed that. I talked about time of the day, and I talked about some other things.
Yeah. Wow. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Patriots. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Patriots coming back from behind. I don't. I mean, they have a good. The thing is, like, they have such a good mix of personnel. The Falcons do. I mean, Dwight Freeney's there. It's his chance, to win another Super Bowl. They got, some good young corners. Brian Poole, Jalen Collins. I mean, they got some good guys there on the edge. They got Deshaun Goldson. Again, he's a veteran, former All-Pro at safety. So, I mean, they got some guys there, young and old. Some guys that, more experience in Super Bowls and playoffs for the Patriots. I agree. Hands down. You can't even deny that. But, Canoe Neal, he's playing really well. They have all the pieces they need to win this. Where they go with it is kind of, it's going to be, are they starstruck? Are they in the moment? How are they feeling about it? I'm interested to see what kind of if Matt Ryan's going to just go for the jugular on this one. Is he just going to go at it and just play every play like it's his last play And is that going to put them in a situation where maybe he sails some balls a little bit too far, and, you know, the running core, you know, is...
About whether they play it so that either indoors or the exception of that's not a tough. I think a tough position. That's the more of up with some of the Tampa Bay teams. That's the Panthers. I mean, those are tough teams they play. And so I think the Rangers will come out firing away.
But we can't. The one thing that. Yeah.
I like the man. I'm not a big guy from when Michael Vick was playing, so I'm a Falcons fan. But that notwithstanding, I like them right now. I think they're hot. I think Dan Quinn is good enough to try the ball. Listen, Dan Quinn is like the second coming to Bill Belichick. That's the guy. Look at great coordinators, the one who
Yeah.
More players. As good as Brady is, he doesn't have to win the game. He doesn't have to do what he's fine. He certainly doesn't have to bring it down. So Jared Blunt is pretty good, but he's not those guys. He's old. So I just think personnel-wise, I like the man. And I'm going to go back to New England. Has never played their best Super Bowl, and so I'm going to go with Atlanta. I wanted Atlanta. I wasn't going to win the Super Bowl. It's great for the city of Atlanta to win another championship. But that's not where I'm going with it. I mean, I'm not basing my decision on that. I just think Atlanta has an edge, and I think they're going to do that play. But I think it's going to be involved. I think the line is probably pretty good. That's 3 points. That's probably a pretty good line. I'm surprised at it. I'm surprised it's not 5% for the Richmond, but that's a pretty good line.
You know, just looking at some of the, I mean, you know, they've never had a roster that has just been a wow roster. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys lately from those Super Bowl teams that they had like in a bunch there, going into the Hall of Fame and stuff. But it, I don't know. You have a couple guys that are your top wide receiver, quarterbacks converted to wide receiver. I just don't see Chris Hogan having a big day again. I don't know. I just think the secondary is too talented. I don't know. Because what Belichick does, what they do, what you know, what their offensive coordinator does really well is mix the schemes up, you know. get a lot of those rub routes. You know,
they do the best job of addressing all that. I get all that, and like I said, right now, if you were to say, the analyze this thing, I say, yeah, it's better than bullshit. But my God, as a sports fan, or I just have a kind of feeling about the Falcons having watched them the last 2 weeks. But, yeah, that was like probably the same situation with them, but they will do that.
Yeah, that's what they typically do. They find out, the 2-3 things that you do the best, and they just take those away. But, Mohamed Sanu has been that backup. And then you've had Tyler Gabriel, 2 running backs that have just... Yeah. You have to double him. See, that's why Taylor Gabriel and Mohamed Sanu, I mean, I'm looking over the Patriots roster. I'm just trying to look at, as far as linebackers, who do they have covering them? I mean, I know they have guys that they end up putting in there, some guys they put in at nickel or in dime because they have enough personnel to go into nickel and dime packages, and they do that a lot. When you have safeties that are big enough, you can do that. But Patrick Chung is really a free safety. Or strong safety, and then I'm going up and down the roster right now. They really don't have. He's the only one listed as their safety for them. You have cornerbacks. I guess never mind. They got the listed as defensive backs. McCourtney. How much are you expecting out of him? You can't. Eric Rowe. They have a lot of guys in that defensive backfield. Malcolm Butler. They've had to get as much as they've gotten out of Malcolm Butler is crazy. I don't know. It's just they're not. They're smaller defensive backs too. They're Brandon King is the biggest at 6'2". Second-year guy, he's not playing. He doesn't really play. Duron Harmon really doesn't, fourth-year guy at Rutgers, really doesn't see the field. These everybody's like 5'10", 5'11". And, I don't know. It's tough. It's mind-boggling because their coaching staff does such a great job of scheming and planning and putting things together. I'm with you. I just think that there's an edge that everybody is kind of overlooked the Falcons having. And I don't know, kind of like you, I feel like if they come out of the gate and they play balls to the wall and they go up, I don't like the Patriots' chances of coming from behind to win. I don't think a lot of people do, if you're not from New England, that is. So, I would like to see the Falcons win. If the Patriots win, it's the same. I'll write an article on that. That's a good storyline there too, I guess. 7. Yeah.
Matt Ryan, great quarterback, Parker Blank, great coach. One of the strongest team when they were just sort of, they sucked for a long time and all that kind of stuff. I tend to focus, through the line and not on other stuff. There's something about the South I think has something special.
I agree with you on it. I just look forward to it. I gotta.
Bunkers got blown out, Bills got blown out, Chargers got blown out. It was kind of ugly. Even the Bucks, the Raiders got blow out. By the way, I was too conservative for that game. Once that game in the year coming to the hotel, I was looking at Tampa, but I traveled with conservative that week, and I watched the game in Germany at like 2 in the morning.
Is it World Football League? There's a Mac player in it? Is that what it was? Pretty sure that's what it was. No, I mean why were you in Germany? That's like just vacation during the Super Bowl? Oh, okay. All right. I was figuring it. You went to go see a Mac player play in the World Football League, but I don't know. That's Quinn. It's where you bought a Quinn Gray jersey, a FAMU guy. He played? They were in Germany, right? Was that the team that was based out of Germany, the Rhine Fire? Yeah, I think that's who he played for. Ryan. I mean, look at Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree. I mean, look at what he's been involved in. Dungy, Gruden, Quinn, his dad. I mean, he seems more suited for the general manager position. I guess you're saying that, right?
I've got a good deal from it. It might be the highest scoring goal of all time. I'm going to take that. especially if you're going to get that quick. Talking now, be a high score. And we're just going to have to go hurry up so fast. This is crazy.
I'm trying to find the over-under. They said, so I'm interested, because the line hasn't moved at all. You know, maybe that's where they're going to try to really rake it in, is on the over-under. Because everybody knows Atlanta can score, but everybody knows the Patriots can scheme. So my wonder is, do they try to get people on the over-under rather than on the spread? Because they're not moving off the 3. It's not even a guy from Jersey that keeps it in his pocket. I keep seeing the line, but I'm not seeing the over-under. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. Looks like the regular season, they're just giving me regular season stats at 18.8 first half points per comparison of New England, putting up 15.3. So the Falcons averaged 26 points in the first half. So, I don't know. Is that what? 59? So, you're going to go under? Over? So you think they'll score, 30, 35 apiece?
In that kind of range.
I don't know. I think I'll go the under. I'm going to go the under on this. I think it's under. I don't know. I don't know. I would say 21-26. Like 21-26 or 23-26. I don't know. 23-26. That covers. That's the spread. The Patriots defense is rated as the top defense in the league. And I think they have tons of talent and potential on the Falcons side. I think that they'll be able to get to Brady. I don't know. Well, that also doesn't really matter either, because it's the schemes, Josh McDaniels, he's got something in store. Belichick, That's the Falcons play indoors. It's kind of almost like a home field advantage for them. I look forward to the game. It's going to be a good one. I really feel like it's going to be a good game. If it gets out to a big lead, like if they get out like 21-6, I'd like to see him throw an interception and then get people worried and the game get closer. You know, I wanted to, if it's a 3-point spread, if they cover, you know, that would be fine. Well, obviously, if the Falcons win, they cover. But, you know, I want to see, you know, if the Falcons only win by 3, that, you know, I'd be fine with that. You know, I really don't, you know, I mean, I get the odds going up as high as 7. You know, I get that. I don't think Vegas is comfortable. I don't know. They have something. I think that with 64. That's so enticing with a high offensive output. Because if 64 for the over-under and a spread of 3, so they have no confidence in the defenses, is what they're saying. 50. I thought you said 64. That's what I was just going off what I thought. 59. Yeah, still, it's a ton of points.
That's a big point for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I see Forbes, 59. And they've went up. It says it opened at 57.5, and they went up to 59. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I look forward to the game. That's going to do it here for this week on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. We appreciate everybody tuning in, listening in, watching, wherever you watch from. Just head on over to thechtonsports.com. I know we got a bunch of Kevin's blogs from kevcrestsports.blogspot.com syndicated over there. If you want to read them first, go over to his blog. He gets them up on there quick, before I can get them up, at least, you know. This is your blog. Head over to Amazon, buy the whole series of P.K. Frazier novels. Am I missing anything? Follow the show. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'll have new stuff out to put on the Nickelodeon we'll be heard everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. Kind of on a streak. Got to keep it going. Absolutely. All right, that's all for us tonight. Peace.